So MSNBC was covering the Virginia election last night, and Nicole Wallace has some thoughts on what's to blame for Terry McAuliffe losing to Glenn Youngkin. You're not going to believe this, but here it is.
When I sort of set out in September to understand where this president was, I heard sort of three analyses. I shared this with you guys in the break, that he lost independent voters and women around the pullout from Afghanistan. And I said at the time, I thought 95% of the public was for leaving, but it turns out a whole lot of the public did not like the way we left, and especially some of that softer part of the Biden coalition that came and voted for him in 2020, but was always going to be watching the news. They were always going to be sensitive voters. They were always going to be, and not, sticking their finger in there, but they were always going to be watching. They were going to be watching and seeing how he performed, seeing how the vaccines rolled out, or seeing what happened. I don't know that anyone predicted Afghanistan would weigh in with those voters, but according to people who poll sort of center-right, to independence, that was really damaging for him. And Garrett pointing that out is the first time I've heard someone report it out from inside the Youngkin side.
The Virginia governor's race was over the withdrawal from Afghanistan? That moved independent voters and suburbanites? That moved independent voters and suburbanites. The withdrawal from Afghanistan. I don't know if you know this. A governor has absolutely Dickie McGee's acts to do with foreign policy. I have no way of checking this, but I can absolutely guarantee that Glenn Youngkin never said the word Afghanistan on the campaign trail once, and Terry McAuliffe never said the word Afghanistan on the campaign trail once. And I also guarantee that voters in a statewide race know that foreign policy has nothing to do with the Commonwealth of Virginia. What are you talking about? What are you doing? I know what they're doing. I know exactly what they're doing. What they're doing is going down the list of blaming the left or left-wing things for Biden losing. That's what they're doing. So, listen, it's already out there. Axios has an article about it. Biden's leftward drift is the problem. Political Reporter talked about it. The chatter in D.C. is that the left is to blame. What they're trying to do is deflect and be like, well, it's really Bernie's fault. It's really AOC's fault. It's really the fault of left-wing ideas. Is Biden being too ambitious? Is Biden... Again, you're going to make me go to what I have saved in my phone, because that's where we're at now. Elder care, 79% support. Modernizing K-12 school building, 73% support. Electricity grid modernization, 74% support. Medicare drug price negotiation, so lowering drug prices, 73% support. Lowering the Medicare age, 59%. Universal pre-K, 59%. Tuition-free community college, 58%. Extending the child tax benefit, it's +9. Okay. Every idea the left is pushing for is incredibly popular. Billionaires tax, popular. Raising corporate taxes, popular. Raising taxes on the top 2%, popular. If all of those ideas are popular, and Biden is not getting those ideas implemented, what's the simple math on that? Oh, maybe if he did the popular things, that would make him more popular. I mean, it's almost a fucking tautology. It is a fucking tautology. Popular things are popular. And they can't figure that out. They can't fucking figure that out. Or they know, but they're lying. Or they were hired because they're never going to rock the boat and they're always going to give you the conventional wisdom bullshit. It's one of those options. You pick which one. Somehow it's the left's fault. By the way, one of the only good things that Joe Biden did, pulling out of Afghanistan, one of the only good things, pulling out of Afghanistan, an executive order that raised the minimum wage for federal contractors and federal employees to $15 an hour, signing the right to repair legislation. It used to be the case that if you're some farmer, you have to go to John Deere to get your tractor fixed. You can't even fix it yourself. And then they charge you money. And he said, no, right to repair, so I'm going to look out for the farmers. One of the few things that Joe Biden did that's popular and correct, that is morally and ethically sound. Got to blame that. Even though it's a Virginia statewide race, even though it has nothing to do with foreign policy, even though I'm sure foreign policy wasn't mentioned once on the campaign trail, no, it's the fault of that. By the way, do you think voters are that stupid? Yeah. The number of Americans who wanted out of Afghanistan was astronomical. Yes, it's true. The poll showed, well, I don't like the way in which we got out. Okay, fair enough. Voters can digest that nuance. It was a good thing, but maybe the delivery wasn't perfect. They're not going to, a politician's not going to be blamed as much for that as they would be blamed if they just do bad things or don't do good things. At least you made an effort at doing the right thing. At least you stood up to the military-industrial complex. We were at that war for 20 years. How much longer should we stay? 25, 30, 80? How much longer do you want to stay? Serious question. We couldn't deliver on our goals in the first 20 years, but I promise you by the 27th year, we're going to nail it. It's a fucking ruse. People are on to the fact that it's the military-industrial complex and people are making money off this and we're really jacking trillions of dollars worth of mineral wealth and exploiting a region, and this is an arm of U.S. imperialism. I mean, maybe voters can't go that deep into the specifics, but they get a sense, I don't like this. Our country's falling apart and we're building Kabul and Kandahar. Why don't you rebuild Detroit or Flint, Michigan? How about that? Voters get that. Nobody was thinking about Afghanistan and Virginia. Here's what they were thinking about. Terry McAuliffe believes in nothing and advocates for nothing. He's saying Donald Trump is bad. Yeah, I got it. What are you going to do? Nothing. He didn't say he was going to do anything. What he said is, oh, Glenn Youngkin is hammering me over the head with critical race theory shit. Yeah, let's fight that battle. Let me follow you down the rabbit hole of some culture war bullshit. Let me do that. So it turns out running on Trump bad when Trump isn't even in there is not an effective strategy. It turns out believing in nothing is not an effective strategy. It turns out fighting the Republicans on their terms in the culture war is not a good strategy. That's the problem. And the other thing is, look, Glenn Youngkin did a great job with how he crafted his campaign. What did he do? He walked a fine line on Trump, didn't denounce him, but didn't openly support him. He didn't want him to speak there, but he accepted his endorsement. He didn't mention immigration when that was Trump's top issue. He found a way of being Trumpy without being too Trumpy. So the base accepted him, but also those suburban voters who voted for Biden flipped to Youngkin. He just defined the race on his terms, brought up critical race theory, hammered Democrats as being out of touch and sectarian on culture war issues, and was able to coast to victory on that. And also, fact of the matter is, if McAuliffe's not saying he's going to do anything to materially improve your life, and Biden is stuck in neutral at best and not delivering on things that are positive that he said he was going to deliver on, the Democrats had a stench on them. They did. And so that's what's going to happen. There is no doubt there were a number of factors that led to the loss for Terry McAuliffe, but it is much more directly the fault of Joe Biden's inaction and inability to deliver on popular policies and Manchin and Sinema being colossally corrupt. They are much more to blame than anything Biden did on Afghanistan. By the way, Afghanistan was in the news nonstop for like 2 weeks where the media was bashing Biden over the head relentlessly. And then what happened? All of a sudden, gone, done. It's out. It's out of everybody's consciousness, out of everybody's mind. What happened? Well, I thought it was, oh, worst thing that's ever happened in the history of forever. Oh my God, everybody care about this. Everybody lose their minds. After 2 weeks, gone. People, the media's like, Afghanistan? I don't even know Afghanistan. You know Afghanistan? Afghanistan's a place? Is that a thing? I don't even know what that means, Afghanistan. What happened? It's almost like the freak out was because corporate media is in bed with the military-industrial complex because they take money from them. And as we learned the other day, Raytheon lost $75 million because we pulled out of Afghanistan. It's almost like in that elite DC beltway, the flip out was because the military-industrial complex was not going brrr as much. The money printer wasn't going brrr for them as much. So it was portrayed as, oh my God, this is evil, this is wrong, this is terrible, this is crazy, how can this be the case? What's going on here? But then all of a sudden, oh my God, look, it's gone, it's out of the news. That was always a top-down bullshit narrative driven from the elites. The one time Biden crosses the military-industrial complex is the one time he's portrayed as Satan reincarnate. By the way, and what happened with Trump? When did Trump get the most praise as president? When he bombed Syria. That was the day some liberal pundit said, this is the day he truly became president. They're always going to blame the left. Because the left threatens power, and they don't want power threatened. They're always going to blame the left. The fact of the matter is, the answer is right in front of us. Whether it's at the state level or at the national level. All Democrats need to do is state the obvious and do the obvious thing. kick out the big money, go full economic populist, and deliver on those things, and then you win. FDR had won the presidency 4 times. Democrats had 80% of the House and 80% of the Senate in 1938. Why? Because Americans got a tiny little taste of social democracy and their lives materially improving, and they were like, we love this! Hooray! Let's vote for the people who delivered this to us. The same thing could happen today, but you have to actually fucking deliver. Instead of delivering for Goldman Sachs and Lockheed Martin and all the other multinational corporations that have bought our political system, and the billionaires who've bought our political system, they really blamed Afghanistan. And she said, oh, people in Youngkin's campaign are saying this. People in Youngkin's campaign are fucking idiots. He tripped over his dick and stumbled on a decent strategy to win. That's what happened. And his, he was running against the world's least charismatic politician with no message. So there you have it. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.